What's up, YouTube? It's the Toro Tech, and today we're going to be talking about how to install OBS Studio on a Mac so that you can broadcast on Teams. So stick around, take a look. Okay, so I want to point out, so in the previous versions of OBS Studio, it was a little more complicated to actually get OBS Studio to broadcast through Teams. In the latest versions of OBS Studio, I would even say within the last 10 days at least, they've had these pre-release versions that have come out specifically around a Mac where it's actually built in altogether one encompassing package, which is a real advancement considering the only ones that actually had a virtual cam built in were for a Mac specifically were Streamlab OBS or an Ecamm Live paid services, sometimes along those lines. So let's go ahead and get into it here on my computer. And so the first thing, this on the left-hand side, this is OBS Studio. This is a normal install. This is the version 26.02. We'll talk about that in a future video on as it pertains to a Windows computer. We're going to be talking about it from a Mac computer. Now, the one thing and the one caveat that I'll point out is in this version, this 26.02, which came out on October 6th, for the Mac, it does not have a virtual camera built in. It does for a Windows, but it does not for the Mac. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to GitHub and we're going to look for OBS Studio 26.1 Release Candidate 2. And when we get there, we're going to go ahead and download it here at the bottom. Once we have it downloaded, now as you see, I have both downloaded 26.02 as well as 26.1 Release Candidate 2. If you double click on it, it'll obviously open up the OBS Studio 26.1. We'll just easily drag and drop it here into the application folder. Once it's in the application folder, it's as easy as opening up the application. Now you'll see here on my screen, it's actually open. It shows my preview as well as what I actually have, what's actually being presented in my virtual cam. Now in the previous versions, when we would actually have to install a separate driver for a virtual cam, we'd have to install possibly, I know I had to install NDI and NDI monitor and a whole host of other pieces of software to make it work or to make it work most effectively on a Mac. In this version, it doesn't have to. But when I did have to do that, you would go across the top of the screen, hit Start Virtual Camera, and then you would then be able to select an OBS camera within Teams. What we do now, when we've actually installed this 26.1 Release Candidate 2, now it's right down here. You can see I've already started it, and so we're already presenting. So now I can hit my transition. I can say, please stand by, or I can look at the storm clouds again. So let's go over to Teams and take a look at how we set that up over there. Okay, I'm here in Teams, and when I open up my Teams, it's going to give me some options for my custom settings. I'm going to go ahead and play the audio through my speakers. Maybe you have a headset or something along those lines. It's easy to just go ahead and put that here. I'm using an MV7 right now, plugged in as a USB mic to go ahead and broadcast my audio. I actually did a review on this mic. I'll put a link in the description as well. Go ahead and take a look at that. And then the last part being the camera. So if I pull this down, you can see that this is like a bunch of different cameras that I have linked. So I have an external 4K camera. I got the FaceTime camera that's built into the iMac. I have the NDI video. I got a cam link, which I'm actually recording this on. I got this, a Sony camera imaging software, so on and so on and so forth. But what we're looking for is this OBS virtual camera. So in a normal installation, you would probably only see OBS virtual camera and then probably this FaceTime camera. So what this is going to do now is if I actually turned on my camera, and now this is, remember that beginning where I showed you of us transitioning the audio or the screens back and forth, and I can transition that screen to say, please stand by, or whatever the case may be. It can be with thirds. There's a whole host of different things that we can get into. And on the future video, I'm going to go into advanced functions and features to set up a more business-like use of OBS Studio for you, the business user. And so that is how to install OBS Studio 26.1 Release Candidate 2 to get that one single package with a virtual camera, and so that you can display Teams on your next business call. Until next time, this is the Toro Tech, and this was a tech tip. Next time, y'all.